This one is very prevalent to the NBA playoffs in the sense of there's been a lot of talk every year of the famous asterisks. You know, that little star, when you hit Shift and 8 on your keyboard, that pops up. It's the asterisk. And you see it with, with championship teams and all that stuff. And we're talking about it now with playoff runs. Like, oh, this is who the Pacers had to play to get to the conference finals. And just a compilation of all the injuries and stuff like that. And, this is who Milwaukee went through and everything like that. The Lakers with the bubble and the Celtics and everything.
Yeah.
I want to know if you agree in the sense of, should we be putting asterisks or asterisks? I don't know how the word's pronounced. Should we be putting the star on playoff runs? And does facing injured teams not make you as good and stuff like that? Or are there any exceptions to this?
Would you want to take that one?
I think I have a perfect answer for this.
Go.
Okay.
No, we're not putting asterisks because they are not making a bracket for who they're playing. The bracket is how the bracket is, and that's who they're playing, whether they like it or not. You can't, because injuries are going to happen. They're part of the game.
Right.
You're not going to prevent that. And the players themselves are not making their run into the playoffs, how to get into the finals.
Yeah.
They're playing who's in front of them and what's going into the next round. They're not picking and choosing. Mm-hmm. So there should not be any asterisk because of this. They are not making their opponents. They're not choosing. They're following how the playoffs are made with the bracket style, with the play-in, regardless how they're getting in.
Okay. Now, I would say it depends. And it depends on what the criteria of the asterisks would be.
So I'm going to give you a perfect example.
Yeah, there's a few. So
the bubble.
Okay.
That's one. There's the bubble.
Let's get to that example.
So the bubble is one. There's playing injured teams. That's two. There's just having an easy path to the finals. There's three. The whole play-in nonsense with what we're seeing over the past couple of years, right? With play-in teams making deep runs and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. That's basically been the main ones.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, does the how do you even say it? Asterisk?
Asterisks.
Asterisks?
Yeah. Something like that.
Okay, does the asterisk lessen the value of the championship?
I think that's what
that's what I'm trying to say.
Supposed to do.
Or
is
that's what it does.
Well, it's not even
That's
just the championship. People are trying to put asterisks on championships and on playoff runs, getting to the finals.
Now, here's my conclusion on that. Not conclusion, but here's my statement on that.
Okay.
And that is, I don't have a problem with asterisks at all. I think you should put asterisks in there, but what I do also think is that they shouldn't lessen the value of playoff runs or championships. Right. But I think they're necessary.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, what was the story of this season in 2020 when the Lakers won? Okay, they were playing in the bubble. No fans were around at all. There was no home court advantage.
Right.
That should be an asterisk. There should be an asterisk there, but it shouldn't lessen the value of the championship. So,
yeah.
What do you think?
I agree in that sense. I think it's hard because everyone's got biased opinions, and that's probably why there are asterisks on championships and on playoff runs. But at the end of the day, like, you play who's in front of you. Like, why are fans complaining about a 1 seed playing an 8 seed in round one? That's how brackets work.
Well, yeah.
And you're going to play the 4 or 5 seed in the second round. Doesn't matter. If the 7 seed or the 8 seed or if the 7 seed or the 6 seed gets to the conference finals, then shame on the 2 and the 3 seed for losing.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes the 2 and the 3 seeds are worse teams in the playoffs. Like, you don't know this. Right. Like, did you think that Sacramento and Memphis were tougher matchups than the Lakers and the Warriors last year?
No, sir.
No. It's just the better teams make it through. And you're always going to get a Cinderella run to the conference finals at least once every now and then, right?
Yeah.
And we saw a lower seed get by, and it was the Pacers, but the East was so bad, everyone was so close together that it was all even unless you were playing Boston.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to gauge in that sense, essentially. But
I think going off of what he said, I still think they're not needed. But if there's got to be certain circumstances that require an asterisk.
Yeah.
I think the bubble is one. The injuries, I don't know because that's a part of the sport, and you're not going
Yeah.
to prevent that from happening.
There are certain instances
I
where
think the asterisk has to tell you the story of the season as a whole, not specifically, oh, there was injuries against the team that they played against.
right.
That
Like-
shouldn't be
'Cause
what
there-
they're used.
there's
the,
luck.
the criteria of the asterisks.
Right, there's luck that's involved in the playoffs.
Right.
And usually the
That-
healthier
yeah,
team wins.
that
There are
happens with
some
everything.
there are some exceptions where yeah, injuries happen, but it
Going-
wasn't the main,
Let me give you an example. For
because
for example,
I have an example also with
Kawhi Leonard, when Zaza Pachulia put his foot under Kawhi,
Mm-hmm.
when they were killing the Warriors, would you put an asterisk on that series?
The two asterisks that I would put on is the Warriors that year and the Bucks in 2021 when
Okay.
Giannis undercut Kyrie intentionally on that layup.
Okay.
Because we all know, even Giannis himself knows, that if Kyrie's healthy for all of that series, I don't think it goes to 7 games. And even if it does go to 7 games, I think we win. And the fact that even with just KD and no help, we still only lost in overtime. So that's where injuries happen. You play who's in front of you, but when they're intentionally done like that, that's when an asterisk should be placed, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because when you're taking away the integrity of a game to knock a player out,
Okay.
you don't deserve to win the championship at that point. I don't care what you do after that.
Well, how can you judge a player's motives? I don't think
I
don't think Giannis's intent was to injure Kyrie. I genuinely don't think
most
that.
people.
Same thing with Zaza.
Well, Zaza's a dirty player.
Yeah.
Giannis is also a dirty player, for being honest. Yeah, why? Like, think about it. If Kyrie had a wide open layup, why would Giannis just try and go underneath Kyrie to try and get a rebound that didn't need to be made? It was going in. There was no one around him. He didn't need to do that. And just like Zaza, he didn't need to do that either. Yeah, it was very intentional.
Okay.
And that's why.
I'll take your word for that.
And this is someone that I used to absolutely adore, Giannis.
Yeah.
And he's one of my least favorite players now because of it.
Because he beat the Nets.
Well, yeah, but when you beat the Nets, like I have loads of respect for Tatum and Brown.
Okay.
Right? They beat us fair and square. But when you beat us like that, that's where I have a
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
And I think, speaking for Spurs fans, I think they agree in the sense that they were clear in a way going to win that series until that happens. And when someone like Zaza just sticks a foot in on purpose, Kawhi rolls an ankle, and it's all downhill from there.
Right. I just want to say one more thing about the criteria of an asterisk.
Yeah.
I don't think those deserve an asterisk next to them. I think more so asterisks should be placed on the NBA season as a whole, like I was saying before, to tell a story about the season
Right.
on a bigger picture.
So I'm gonna use an example.
Okay.
So if the Celtics this year they had the 64-win season, I don't think it's their most wins in a season, correct?
I don't think so.
But if the Celtics broke if 64 was the number they broke and they lose in the finals this year, would you asterisk this season as being not a success, even though they broke that record?
No.
So it's not.
It should not be an asterisk. No.
So
What I'm saying
it is a success.
I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. I would put an asterisk on the season where there was a lockout for the NBA, right? They
Right.
played less games. I would put an asterisk on that. Same thing with COVID.
Yeah.
Stuff like that tells you a story about the whole season.
There's always an asterisk
unusual
for short
year.
seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, like an unusual year. Those are the only circumstances where I'll put an asterisk. Everything else, that's a part of the game. That's just what happens.